The following program is a real estate and mortgage show and does not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of Reality Radio 101, its advertisers and sponsors, or its listening audience. Listener discretion is advised. Good morning and welcome to Your Home, Your Money with your hosts Randy, Jackie, and Anthony right here on Reality Radio 101. To get on board right now, send us an email. Our email address is onair@yourteam.pro. And now, right to your hosts of Your Home, Your Money, Randy, Jackie, and Anthony.
Hello, y'all.
Good morning on this chilly morning out there. Is everybody staying warm with their fireplaces going?
You know what? My heater, my furnace, whenever it gets super cold, it like just says I'm not coming out today. I don't know.
What?
I have no idea. Like it's.
But that's when you want it.
Exactly. You know, you think.
What
right?
do you
But
mean? Like it won't turn?
It just doesn't turn on for like it's. My house is not like cold. It's still like warmish, but like I have no idea. Like I changed the filter yesterday, came on, and then this morning it was off again. So I have no idea. So I have to make a
Sounds
call.
like you might have a problem with the blower.
It's not that
You
old.
need to blow.
We got a guy for you. We do. He's really good.
Yeah, if you need
shut
it
up.
checked.
What
yeah.
company
I
is
don't know if
it?
you're being facetious or you're being
No,
serious.
no,
Okay.
seriously. What company is it again?
Standard.
Is it Smart
Oh,
something?
no.
Gary Guan. Jimmy Guan.
Yeah, Gary.
Holy smokes.
Gary and
Gary
Guan,
Guan.
you mix together, okay.
I think the guy is really good. He's always helped us every time. Every time there's any kind of issue.
Standard home something.
You know what the crazy thing is though? Like we used to have like the old furnace before, like the low efficiency, whatever. Like the ones that
Yeah.
people say is like to get rid of them, whatever.
Yeah.
This thing worked like a charm. It worked. Like your house was warm. Maybe it wasn't as efficient or whatever they say, but like
Yeah, but it was costing you more money.
maybe per month, yes. But the house was warm. Like it was always warm.
Well, we got a new furnace last year and the blower went on it, and guess why, guys? I didn't know how important it was to change the filter. And I guess I didn't change
Yeah.
the filter, and that was kind of what
Okay, maybe that's-
blew, because I guess it's trying harder,
Yeah.
and it was a new furnace.
And maybe that's why for us too. But I
Yeah,
just
but
changed it,
once
so
you
it's-
change it, it should
well, it did come on
kind of
when I
work
changed it.
okay, yeah. But anyways, who was outside last night? Oh my goodness.
Cold.
Oh, on the radio, the lady that was on the radio was saying it's the kind of cold that when you walk and you take a deep breath, your nose hair freezes. That's what she said. And I'm like, more than that's freezing, lady. It was brutal. Like I had on my thick, warm coat that I used to wear door knocking, which I never got cold. I was cold. And that thing is like for minus 40. But it was probably in the minus 30s with the windshield last night. It had to have been.
Yeah, it's cold. So I would think that sales will slow down a little bit while it's this cold.
Typically, that's usually why December net is so slow, right? Only serious people come out in this cold.
Yep, that's right.
Well, it depends who you ask. Cause like I've been doing a little bit of research for the show, and one article says market's crap, another article says bidding war is like crazy. So I guess it depends where
Both
you.
articles are right.
Yeah, well, I guess.
Yeah, it's like it's all over the place right now.
It is. It's a very difficult market to understand, but we'll break that down for you.
Yeah, actually, I did have one thing I was going to say that we should talk about a little bit right now. Not a lot of time, but where Anthony was talking the last couple of weeks about the mortgage fraud.
Okay.
So I read an article that I guess about a year or so ago, this girl's great uncle's house almost they caught it, but they almost sold his house without him knowing. And the police were told, okay, well, told her just, it doesn't really happen. It's a, very rare thing.
It's
just
true.
go home and don't worry about it. But now, that's what she said. Now, that's her, I don't know what really the police told her. But what happened was then an article came out saying that there's been over 30 cases in the GTA.
But that's this
Well,
year.
Ontario and NBC, I think.
And yeah,
And-
not the GTA. It's in Canada.
I'm looking at it right now.
It's-
Are you
yeah.
looking at
Yeah,
it?
32 properties in Ontario and BC.
No, that's not the one I was on.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. That's what it is.
No, I
Yeah.
gotta see now.
Yeah,
Well,
you can see, but that's what it is. So
Yeah, well, the
move
article,
on.
I have here basically talks about how, of the 32 from the one I'm looking at, 6 of them were total title fraud, right? In which con artists
And the
poses-
rest were mortgage.
maybe, I'm not sure. I have to go through the whole thing, but yeah, where they, it's I don't know,
Right
this is
here.
crazy. This is,
The article says, from CBC, in which at least 30 homes in the Greater Toronto Area have either been sold or mortgaged without the real owner's knowledge. So I'm sorry, guys, but I'm
Well,
right this time.
I'm
At
not
least
sure.
I'm reading what the article said. It doesn't
Okay,
mean the
so-
article's
so
right
maybe
because
what's
this
the
is
date of that
relative
article?
to
Or what's the date of this article?
who's doing
mine's
it, right?
from CP24, January
Mine-
26th.
And mine is January 24th.
So you tell me between the 24th and the 26th.
Yeah, I know. The numbers changed that
My
I don't know.
understanding
This is
it,
CBC.
it was mainly
CBC is supposed to be pretty good for news, aren't they?
So you're trying to say TP24 is no good?
Oh, no, I like CP24, but
yeah, that's interesting. So they both say 30 because
Well, mine says 32. Mine says
32 and yours 30.
30 in
So
in the Greater Toronto Area.
Well, it says
Mine
basically mine says mortgage and title fraudsters who impersonate homeowners and tenants have targeted at least 32 properties in Ontario and BC.
Well, it's tough out there
that's
because,
the one I read. Sorry.
like, we are, helping a friend rent their basement. It's the first time they've ever rented anything, and I mean, it's almost like people now to get in, at least how cautious I'm being, you almost got to, I was joking with this guy last night and I said, I just want your right arm, that's it, you're good. And I said, it's tough out there. Like, landlords are being extra cautious. People don't want to give their information out. And I've had a couple people kind of a little bit upset saying, I don't want to give you my information before I see it. And I'm like, well, not every homeowner wants everybody tracking through their house. They want to know that you're actually qualified to rent their basement or rent whatever before you take them through. I don't think that's unreasonable.
Well, the thing is though, right now, like, there's so many fraudsters out there. Like, every day I'm getting a text from this person. Like, I got one from yesterday from, I think, one of those postal services saying, oh, your package.
I know.
Your package is this. Click the link. We need your details. Like, so, it's again, a lot of them is easy to spot, but there's a lot of them where they're very sophisticated and they'll have
Yeah.
like all the logos, everything there looks legit. Like, there might be one letter off which you have to be looking carefully.
Yeah.
So you do have to be careful with the information and just make sure it's not getting out there because, unfortunately, people who know what they're doing can swindle you and just basically take you for everything.
When you see FedEx@gmail.com, it's like, yeah, okay.
Yeah, that's the thing, but
that's
like
pretty fake.
it is. But again, you have to be
You have
You have to be
Just
looking,
don't
right? Because
hit one. Don't do what I did that one
Yeah.
time.
because sometimes they'll have all the logos there to look, but sometimes
They can
yeah,
copy almost
yeah.
anything
and which is
these
not that hard to
days.
do, but you just have to just be vigilant in terms
Like,
of.
you can pay someone to do pay stubs, your letter, they can fool, like, how do you know who's legit anymore? And unfortunately, it's tough. It makes the honest people, they got to jump through some pretty small hoops to get a place anymore.
Yeah.
And it's a shame, but, as a realtor, if you're doing a lease, you have to protect your landlord.
Yeah.
And it's tough because even then, who knows? Like,
You know what's
people look good on paper sometimes, and
it's interesting because the government puts in all of these restrictions to help tenants, right? So, you can't kick them out for any reason, pretty much. You can't raise the rent this much, pretty much, whatever.
Yeah.
And even if they are
And-
kicked out, you still can't kick them out.
Yeah,
Technically.
and what ends up happening in the end. Okay, so they win at that point. The government sort of puts these policies in, and then the tenants get, a good 1 year relief, and then all the pitchforks come out, and the homeowners and the landlords are like, forget this, I'm not going to do it like that anymore. Give me all your information up front, I'll check you out, then I'll let you see the place. If you don't have 800 credit, and you can buy 2 houses, you can't rent mine. And the rules just start to actually reverse and be really hard on the tenants. So the thing is, and this is where, government legislation. Remember when I told you about that time where BC has just introduced a 3-day clause?
Oh yeah, to get out of it.
And then I said, yeah, well, there's always going to be a loophole. Yeah. Well, this is sort of like the loophole of tenancy, right? You can't kick them out. You can't do anything. So now you only want someone that can actually buy your house 2 times over. And that's the only person you put in. So they're the only, and so regular tenants that need it, that actually need that space, can't have it. They can't even go and look at it. They can't even go and look at it. Like,
there are people, they're saying you can't come to my house unless you actually...
Unless you give your information and you're approved.
Because that's what my that's what my homeowner wants. They don't want me tracking
lots of them
20
like that.
people through their house and they all got 500 credit score.
Well,
why
guess,
are you...
If your credit, so when someone sends in and they send in their credit score, it's like 650. It's like,
and that's why
they're
people
not
don't want to
you.
give it too.
So there's no sense in looking.
And then I had one guy said I was discriminating against him, and
Yes,
I said,
you were though.
I'm like, how am I discriminating against you? I don't know anything about you right now. All you did was text me.
Yes, but
what do I know from you texting me?
You knew right then when he wasn't giving you the information that he wasn't getting into place. That's the discrimination he's talking about. And then from that point, he says, I'm Indian and you're discriminating against me.
No, he never said that, but he said he's got to talk to his lawyer.
Yeah.
And I said, go ahead, talk to whoever you need to, but I work for the landlord and I have to do what they ask me to do. It's not me. If they say to me, you know what, no, I want to see paperwork first, what am I supposed to say to them? Oh, no, I'm going to bring everybody through your house. Like, you have to do what your client wants you to do, right?
That is to a degree, but yes, in that case, there's nothing illegal, so yes, you got to do it. If it's illegal or immoral, you don't do it.
Now, the other thing I was just going to quickly say, we have a little discussion on this if you want. They're saying that because of all... I got headaches this morning, so don't add to it. That they, now you made me forget what I was going to say.
Oh, that's good. So we can move on to better things.
The future of title insurance now, they say, is at risk because of all this fraud. They're not going, well, companies aren't. The title insurance. The article, which I'm saying, you have to take every article that you read with a grain of salt. But they're saying, you know what? Because title insurance covers up to what point? If you have title insurance, you're good. You don't have to worry.
Is it forever?
No. So title insurance covers a lot of stuff, and so and it will cover you if someone steals your title because it's title insurance, right? However, it's still not fun because you are in a lot of problems and they've got to go and litigate this.
And they don't want to pay it too, so.
But you will be remunerated for title insurance. It's actually pretty awesome. I don't know why anybody would refuse it. It's only a few $100s when you're closing your property. It's absolutely insane to not pay it.
And even with this, like the fraud stuff, yes, it's kind of in the news now, but it's still fairly rare, no? Like it's like
it is rare.
Well, when you think about how many houses there are and only 30, then it's rare, but it can still happen.
We remember what was the last time we talked about this? Was like I can't remember 8 years ago or something like that. The last time talked about fraud on.
So where were you when Anthony talked about the last couple shows?
That's still recent, Jack. This is recent stuff. So what I'm saying is prior to that, there wasn't any. And so it's come back. What's happening is that the fraudsters usually, they have to target properties that have equity in them.
So somebody's giving them the report because you can't just go and see what
The-
people's equity is.
There are so many hoops to jump through. There's a ton of hoops to jump through, but you can actually go and find out if people have mortgages on their property. That's public knowledge. I mean, you can go into Ontario's was Ontario where you get for a driver's license and that, and you can go to the Stats Canada or Service Canada, and you can go to the booth and you can pay your, I think it's $28, and
They'll tell you.
Oh, and you
Are you
just
sure? They'll tell you if my house has a mortgage?
it will tell you any liens against any property,
Just like that?
just like
That's
that.
people's personal information. How are they
Yeah,
getting away
but the
with
government
that?
doesn't consider that personal information. Well, it is personal information where it's just not available everywhere, but it doesn't mean that you can't go and
How
buy
is what
it.
I have, my mortgage, public why does that need to be public knowledge?
It just is, sweetheart. Well, it's not really public. You have to go in and pay for it.
Still,
So it's not just publicly out there, but you can
For
go-
$28, it's pretty
I
much-
think it was.
You know
at
what I'm
least
saying?
Way back in the day, it was $28. Now, because of
Yeah,
the
but
licenses that
And
we
when
hold,
you
we
say-
can do it right
When you
online.
say it's $20, is
for-
it for like this one house or is it for like the whole?
No,
One.
one property.
Oh, okay.
And
One.
that was back then. I don't know what it is now. I don't know if it's changed a little bit now, but you can do it.
okay,
It's-
back then, are you, back how far?
I don't
Because
know.
before the
Back a little
privacy
bit.
laws changed?
No,
What?
Jack,
Like,
Jack, you can go in and you can search
I
title.
know, you
I'm
told
just-
me that
I'm just
before,
curious
but
about this title insurance. I'm not sure how much you know about it, but like
I don't know a lot about
Okay, like
title
what-
insurance, but
like with the house that like we're talking about a few weeks ago where the lady went on vacation and she came back and her house was gone, like sold, and someone was actually living in the house.
oh,
Right.
yeah.
So how, like, does she get the house back, or did they just reimburse her for the money, or like, how does that work?
well, no. So title insurance is not like you win now and you can have your house back and we're putting the person who's living in jail.
Who
Title insurance
paid,
is more.
yeah.
What they do is they settle everything. Because you would have to hire a lawyer, go and you're homeless and all that stuff. So title insurance would then help you with your accommodations. They would help you with your legal fees and all that stuff, and they would get it settled. And then they would make sure that you get your money back that you've lost from your home.
So you get the money, so you don't get the title back.
Well,
And, yeah, you don't get the
depends.
house. I don't know, 'cause that would be difficult,
depends.
wouldn't it?
Every single scenario is different. So it really depends. If the person who bought that home bought it and they bought it legally, that's a different thing. It's
Then
not
they
easy.
didn't know, right?
Exactly.
They were
So-
kind of
So there's
Well, yeah,
schemed as well.
it's not an easy solution,
Yeah.
but the point is if you don't have title solutions, title
Insurance.
and your home is your only asset really that's giving you your bulk of your wealth, now you got to find money to go after and do that. And I'll tell you, today, more so than ever, the cost of legal fees is insane. You know, before COVID, you could go and, a lawyer would walk in and do, a hearing or whatever for $7,000. Today it's $30,000.
And a year and a half later.
And it's several years later. That's true. And so, life is tough. So the main thing about the title insurance is that at least financially you're going to be taken care of. Emotionally, forget it. It's going to be tough, but financially you will be taken care of. Title insurance works on a lot of stuff. We had a friend who purchased a property and it had a mutual drive. And so this is, out in the country, mutual drive. And then the owner, because it was one little old lady that owned all the lots, and then she chopped them up and people made do. And then this one gentleman bought the lot next door and started creating havoc in that, putting up barricades saying that it's his land and all that
So
stuff, and
not
the
allowing the other person to get to the
down.
house.
So rather
it was
than to
quite
beat the crap
crazy.
out of the guy, take a baseball, run your car through his house, because those were some of the options. But when we considered them, we ruled them off the table. Isn't a good path to go. The path to go was title insurance, and title insurance built him a new driveway.
Oh.
So he got a private driveway out of it. right? So title insurance can be a really good thing for many different reasons.
They built who a private driveway? The guy was being
No,
Oh,
the guy who
was being impeded.
Yeah, the guy who was being treated not so good. So, so they both ended up having to build their own driveways, but title insurance paid
Covered
for his. And so,
Now,
so the
can
thing
you
is, title
get
insurance
title
is
insurance at any point, or is it something
no.
you have to get when you buy the home?
My understanding is it's
Time of
when you're
purchase,
purchasing at the time of purchase.
So it's really
I thought
worth it.
before I thought it was just covers you for the process. I didn't know it covered you like.
Yeah, so it does cover you for part of the process, you know, and it's not something that you can get on every property either, right? You know, title insurance, if they don't like the transaction, if they feel there's something about the transaction they don't like, they will refuse to insure. And then if you're actually getting a mortgage, then the mortgage will refuse to lend because, you know, because they're saying, well, if title insurance got a problem with it, we got a problem with it. So title insurance is a pretty cool thing.
Before you go on, just for our listeners, if you want to send in, if you want to join in the conversation, ladies and gents, feel free to send us an email at onair@yourteam.pro. You can also catch us online on YouTube. Just search for @yourteampros, and you can put a face to the name to the face.
It's cold.
Awesome.
It's
So
getting
on
cold
air,
in here.
on air, we have an email from
Oh,
Kelly.
we had one from Kelly and from Tammy. They're both saying they're enjoying the show today. So thank you very much, Kelly and
Thank you,
Tammy.
guys.
Oh, it looks like Kelly has submitted for her
The draw.
for the draw. It's kind of a little bit challenging to put them in now, but I think so. Kelly T, I'll make a note here. I'll add her because today we're doing the Saturday giveaway draw, and yeah, that should be fun. We'll do that just before the show ends. Kelly T. So we've got all of your all of the people who have sent in for the draw, and we are whoa. I am so sorry, peoples. There we go.
Anthony to
are
the
you
rescue
kidding?
again.
Good, look at who won.
I don't see it. Who?
Okay, don't worry, I stopped it. Okay, sorry about that, people. That is
Randy being Randy.
being a draw a little bit early, and we are not doing that. Okay, so you know what? I wanted to talk about two things, but did you want to do something? And actually, I got three things today, but you wanna
I'll just jump in with you, but mine again.
Okay.
We kind of talked about it already with the bidding wars and the housing market. But yeah, go ahead and we'll jump in. I'll try to double dutch my way in as you're talking, but we'll
Yeah.
see.
Awesome.
Double
the
Dutch
first
is
one,
kind of hard, you know.
The first one that's on my screen here is from Canada Today, and it says that 45% of people with adjustable rate mortgages say that they have to sell their home in 9 months.
Adjustable rate, it's a variable rate.
Yeah, so a variable comes in two packages. One is that it's a fixed payment, and your
Okay.
amortization changes based on what happens. Unfortunately, that's where we keep hearing this trigger, how it gets triggered. When you are not paying enough money to pay the interest, then that's what this whole trigger word is all about for mortgages, because they want you at least paying the interest.
Yeah,
And
because the
that's-
interest is huge.
and so your mortgage gets triggered, and you have to then pay a new amount, but the adjustable is that no, as the Bank of Canada inflicts pain on
price goes
people,
up.
they have to pay immediately.
Instantaneously.
And and so the people who have that mortgage is supposedly they're like I said it backwards, but nonetheless, these people are saying that almost half of them are saying there is no way that they're going to be able to keep up with their payments.
So pretty much they're paying, let's say, $1,000 a year ago. Now they're paying maybe $1,500 to $1,800.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
Which is pretty heavy. And then this other one said 35% of Canadian homeowners say they can sustain the Bank of Canada current benchmark rate of 4.5%. Okay, so 35% can sustain it. That's a pretty damn low number, don't you think?
Well, yeah, because like when you get a mortgage, like you're pretty much you're budgeting your lifestyle to that, right? So
Yeah.
to have within a year that amount to jump by anywhere from 30 to 50%, that's can do a lot of damage.
Look at all the people out there now renting out a room in their house to try to subsidize. Like, it's huge. You can, and it's not cheap.
And then the problem too is also that your mortgage went up, but so did everything else. Right?
Yeah,
So,
groceries, everything, right? So now it's not like you're just budgeting for your mortgage to go up. Your mortgage is taking all your, maybe your gas, your insurance, like everything.
Yeah.
Like, I remember like 15 years ago, house insurance was like $60. It's now like $300-400 a month in some cases.
it's crazy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's very crazy. Like,
Well,
that's how I don't know how people just go out there and buy all these new vehicles, and like they're like a flipping mortgage payment now.
It's true. It's true. And so I thought that was a pretty scary article. I thought that this other one, you want to read that there, Anthony?
Houses is selling for a loss? The once unthinkable is on the rise in Toronto.
Yes. So what?
For a loss, like when they say so less than what they bought it for, really?
Right. That's right. People are selling for less. You can do the first paragraph, and it'll give you a really good idea of what's going on.
A Burlington detached home that was sold mid-reno for hundreds of thousands of dollars less than what it got in the summer of 2021. This Brampton townhouse that went for about $340,000 under what it fetched the year before, and a Etobicoke condo that was purchased in December for about $60,000 shy of what it got mid-pandemic. But for these are maybe like investment properties where
No, not
But if they
necessarily.
just bought it a year ago and they sold it now, that's to me.
This
Well-
is very common right now.
Yeah, like
This is
people, and not
ex-
only that,
Okay,
people
yeah,
moved
yeah.
out of the GTA.
Mm-hmm.
They went very far
To be able to afford a home.
to afford a home, bought their nice big home because they moved further to do it, and then something in their life changes. Like, I was talking to one lady, she bought it not even a year ago, and she wants to sell. And I said to her, like, you're going to lose money. You're really going to lose money because you just bought this in November. But she moved all the way out in Booneyville, and now she wants to come back to Oshawa because her daughter's going to be going to the university up there. And I guess, for them to be able to move back, and the daughter can stay home for the 4 or 5 years she's in university, that's savings. But it's like how do I say it? How do you sell your home for a loss when you, yeah, I don't know. It just,
Oh, you sound
How
like
can
Kamala Harris right now.
no, I was talking to
word
somebody, I know, I was talking to somebody the other day, right? And I always get this when people find out you're in real estate. They're like, oh, real estate's really good for you now. People got to sell their houses. And I said, it's never
That's
good,
not good.
for a realtor when you got to go in and sell somebody's house who doesn't want to sell and don't know where they're going. I don't know any realtor that would enjoy
that at all.
because that's not enjoyable.
No.
Like to sit across from someone who's so emotional and they're losing their biggest asset that they thought was a backup for family or whatever, right? For some people, their retirement was their home.
Today, this is really sad. I had this conversation with somebody the other day. If you are in the situation where you're losing your home, or you feel like you're going to lose your home because, the payments have been going up and you just can't afford them, just give us a call. Like, there's a chance that you don't have to lose your home.
If you act quickly
You
and
need to
not,
act. You need to act as quickly as possible. But nonetheless, the truth of the matter is, it's pretty well known right now that the hardships that people are experiencing are are not, they're trying to blame it on you. Really, they are. I mean, because you met a gentleman who was saying, oh, yeah, real problem is Canadians are spending too much. And this real aristocratic, they just have these words for justifying everything that they do. But the truth of the matter is it's not Canadians spending too much that caused the problem. It's the government spending too much and then causing crazy inflation and then having to then choke the public out. That's what happened. And then you want to turn around and just blame it because Canadians got out of their homes and they started going to restaurants and stuff like that. And that made them bad. It's
that
absolutely
didn't make
insane.
them bad because a long time ago on the show, I actually talked about it, or one of us did, how there was an article, and this was a few years ago because we did this show before COVID as well, and then we kind of stopped during COVID.
We didn't want to kill anybody.
Yeah. And then I remember an article that I had read that way back 5 years ago, they were saying that Canadians aren't scared to spend their money. So it's not like they came out of COVID and started spending. This has kind of been the talk for a few years now that they're not scared to go out and buy a home and take that risk. And
well, on the Bank of Canada website, they were clearly saying you're coughing into your mic.
Oh, am I?
Yeah.
Sorry.
The other way. It's okay. The thing is that on the Bank of Canada's website, it clearly shows that Canadian savings were growing during the pandemic while they were forced to stay in their homes and all the businesses were closed. That's interesting that they were saving money, right? It's really, really strange, but it was on their website. So obviously, if they're saving money and they're not allowed to go out, and then all of a sudden you open up, and only half the businesses can open up because the other half isn't prepared, and they've lost half their employees, and the other half doesn't want to go back to work because they were getting free money. And they're like, oh, cool. And then, 10% of them actually moved into a different province where it was cheaper, or moved out into the boonies, so there's no way they're driving an hour and a half, 2 hours to go to work. So you got to find new employees. Things were totally disrupted.
Yeah, and you think about how the government handled it, put us in even worse situation because, like, I know people up in Markham that was at a risk of having COVID, or their family was from them, and those people were put up in 5-star hotels and eating good food, and they were like, whoa, this is like a vacation.
What do you mean?
Like COVID. Like, remember when there was...
was that only for like travelers? If you've traveled?
No, not for travelers. Like if
it was travelers.
No, it wasn't. Not the case I'm
What
talking
was
about.
it? What are you talking about?
Everybody in her house had COVID except for her. So she could call up and she could go somewhere in a hotel. They were putting people up in hotels. And it's like they did all kinds of stuff. They gave people money that shouldn't have had it. And check this out. This is something else that the government did.
Hundreds of millions of dollars.
I was talking to someone the other day that said he works at a jail. Okay? He's a correctional officer. He said to me, during COVID, the amount of prisoners that they got a check from the government.
Prisoners?
Sir, yes. He said hundreds of them, and he witnessed it firsthand. Their brown envelopes came. So they were in jail for a crime, and like this guy said, either beating up their wife or whatever, or, and they're getting checks from the government in jail for CERB.
I would need to,
And we're all paying for that now.
Yeah, but it was because Canadians went out and spent is the problem.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
it-
we don't even know the
it
half
is
of what the
actually
government
funny.
did to put us in this position that we're in.
That's pretty ridiculous.
And
is
that's
funny.
somebody firsthand who saw the envelopes and said,
but did you see the check? Like why?
exactly.
Well, no, I will say I will defend the government a little bit
For
here.
giving money to prisoners?
Yes, I will defend them a little bit here. because what happened is when I believe anyways, I'm not sure exactly what happened, but at the time when they were doing CERB, you just went on and punched in a couple of things and boom, you got it.
So sorry, how's that defending them?
Well, what I'm saying is that they made it easy so it wasn't hard for people, and therefore you're going to have people who will abuse the system. It's just kind of natural. I don't necessarily blame the government for the CERB fraud that went on. That was left up to people, to be honest. So
You have internet access in jail?
you can have access anywhere. You had all the people some of the people. I know at least one. No, I'm just were on welfare, were on CERB.
They were and they're not paying that CERB back.
They're not paying it back, and
Neither are prisoners.
they can't be forced to pay it back because the welfare system is you have to at least provide that minimum check, right? So how do you get it back from someone that you have to give them according to our laws that minimum check? So yeah, they got away with it. They were living the high life.
Yeah, almost doubled their
triple, quadruple.
Yeah.
Right?
So like the government makes all these mistakes, and then everybody has to pay for it. Yeah. It's just not.
I'm gonna say it was a tough time. I think personally, and we all discussed it at the time. And every one of my neighbors thought that the way the government was handling it was okay. I thought it was insane. I don't know. Don't you remember? I was pacing up and down the driveway, didn't know what to do with myself. And that's when I started becoming a farmer and built that hydroponics out of a garbage can.
Oh, yes, and picking up driftwood. I don't know what he was doing. He was going to create his own bonsai trees.
I had lost my mind. I really did. And don't you remember? I was just pacing up and down the driveway, because you weren't allowed to walk around the block.
I'm like, what the hell are you doing in the drive? Like, what are you? Get that out of the. Get out of there.
But I did end up growing some stuff. So
nobody ate it. Not even you.
No, we didn't eat it. But I did it.
But it did. No, listen.
Wait, you didn't even eat it?
No. He handpicked me this little bit of leafy lettuce, and it wilted.
You had to put, it's natural chemicals, but you have to put food in the water, because the water alone won't give nutrition to the plants. You need the earth and the minerals.
Which he bought at at least a 2-year supply that we still have in our garage.
So if anybody needs some hydroponic stuff to grow
food for plants.
Because I don't
hit us up, please. I'd like to get rid of it.
Unless they confine us to our homes again. That was kind of funny. But I do want to get on to what happened in January, because Market Watch for January, TREB came out, and it is, as Anthony would say, it is up and down. I mean, it's all over the place. Sales are down 44.6%. Remember when we talked about this crash, right? We are in the crash now, as we said, and what you're going to find is that the news is going to be all over this, and it is true that they're going to be all over this, and it is true that we will have a market crash. Now, when we sent out the stuff for the draw, you guys keep your eye on the time for me. When we sent out the stuff for the draw, we asked 3 questions. Now, I did a very poor job at sending out the questions, but I will get better. I promise you all, I will get better. I sent out, this time it was 3 questions. Answer the 3 questions. The first one was, do you believe that the market crashed in last year? Oh, no, last year. 2022. Second question was, do you believe the market will crash this year? And the third question is, do you think that this year is a good year to buy? So is
are we going to crash and burn this year?
Yes.
It's quite possible.
We're crashing and burning this year. It's written in the books, and I've already signed off on the prediction.
Nothing is changing at this.
The only thing. We're crashing based off of last year, or just crashing? Like when you say we're crashing, like.
Traditional numbers. Okay. In history, how it's going to be written, this is going to be a crash, period. I don't actually know what the market will do, but I know what the market will do compared to last year. I understand that. You want to read that email and we'll go on?
Yeah, we got one from Bob here. So Bob says, Randy, yes, the effing government here did in fact make it very easy for folks to get served. But don't say that you stick up for prisoners. You're always wishy-washy on real-world events.
I'll agree.
If you want to be sarcastic, be sarcastic. That is funny. But a lot of folks are still hurting out here. Don't make ridiculous comments. I'm taking away your cape. Hi to Jackie.
I second that. Then.
I think maybe
Take his cape.
Maybe Jackie paid for this one.
So I don't think
I'm getting a cape now.
I don't think I defended the criminals getting the checks. I sort of just said that the way in which they could get served was just so easy that of course there was going to be fraud.
Yeah, but hold on.
Of course.
But why didn't somebody say when the bloody checks came to the prison and
They
said,
probably
"Oh,
did, but-
this has to be a mistake.
At that
Send
point-
them back."
At that point, it's too late.
Yeah,
But actually, did they open all the envelopes before? Did they get them?
Yeah, I believe they do.
They're
So-
supposed to open everything because
They
they
do.
don't know what's in it, right?
Right. So
Your
they
mail.
do open them. But here's the thing. I wasn't defending that. CERB was very easy to get. The government the government became very draconian. They decided that they were going to tell people you couldn't work. They were going to cure this thing in 2 weeks. And they took almost 2 years. And there was no curing for it like that. This was a horrible, horrible thing. And I don't know. I thought me and one of my friends, Jason, we were talking, and we always come up with real world solutions to save the universe. And so, what we were saying is instead of shutting everyone down, shut down some big buildings, or like they did in the States, send a big ship, cruise liners, bring them over, and everybody with COVID, you just put them on there with the doctors and everything. That way you have a controlled environment, and let everybody else get back to living. And that was our take on it. Is like
That would
isolate.
be like herding sheep.
We need a
Like
lot-
that
Well, you know
would
what?
be.
Hey.
I think that would be
You would need
kind of difficult.
We needed a lot of ships
No.
for that.
You would need what?
A lot of
Yeah.
ships.
Yeah, it's ships, but it wouldn't just be ships. Remember, you shut everything down, so there was a bunch of buildings sitting empty too.
But
So
you're
they
saying-
could have,
but
they could have said, okay, like all the camps, right? They're shut down. There's definitely not. They're not going to have camps going on. So you got all those buildings. There's all kinds of places that you could have that you wouldn't have had to just put the resources on the hospitals. You could have been a little bit more creative than that, rather than shutting everybody down, trying to bankrupt. Just basically, to me, it was like, okay, that industry we're going to bankrupt.
It's a good-
That one will bankrupt too, and
It's a
yeah,
good thought,
you get to
but-
stay alive. Well, it's a lot better than what they did.
But that would take a lot of coordination. I don't know if
You know what? Everything's a lot of coordination, and I stand by it. At least anything to have kept the economy going. And the thing
Some
is,
normality.
and the thing is that what you did is you tried to isolate. You think about this one. You try to isolate everyone. You tell everyone to stay in their homes, but COVID is actually worse inside your homes than it is outside. COVID doesn't actually survive outside for more than 24 hours, but in your home it can do, what, a week or more. So the thing is, you force everybody to eat in the home, the numbers are going up, and like, I don't know. Even when
Let's
we
do
were,
these numbers
even
because
when-
we're running out of time and people are going to be like,
True. But
Let's get some stats.
So we're competing with last year's numbers. So we're down 44.6% in sales. Average price is down. What did we say it would be?
I think 20% was
We were saying around 20, anywhere from 15 to 20. It was going to be double digits, and it's down 16.4%. That is huge. We've never seen
Sales,
anything.
not price,
No,
right?
price.
Sales.
Down
the price, okay.
16.4%. That's massive. If you think about it, in the GTA, you're looking at 5 to 7% increases. So to be down like in normal years, to be down 16.4%, it's just massive. But we knew this was coming because we could see what the numbers were. We know that next month is even going to be higher.
Next month we're going to get over 20.
Next month we'll climb over 20. It'll be double digits negative again. And so that's why we're going to experience one of the worst, if not the worst, crash in the history of the Toronto Real Estate Board this year. based on how they traditionally grab those numbers. The thing that the one thing that we'll kind of notice is, I'd like to say that in December the average price was $1,051,051. In January it's $1,038,000. So it actually did decline a little bit, but it's a little bit. It's really kind of just turbulence. It's really not, but it did go down a bit, which did kind of surprise me a little bit, because we saw in the last week things were really kind of starting to come back. We're seeing multiple offers on properties and that. Now, the multiple offers that we're seeing on properties aren't driving the prices up crazy. They're just allowing that home to sell really fast at market value. And so that's what we're seeing happen on the market right now. So what's happening is that the people who are in problems, who cannot afford their mortgage and have not contacted someone like us who would help them to maintain the payment that they could afford, because we can do that, don't think that's out of the question. There's just a process. It doesn't always work, but it's better to at least try it than to just give up.
And give up your equity, because once the bank goes after you, you're paying all their lawyer fees, everything. So now you're actually eating into your equity. If you've got to get out and you have to sell, get ahead of it so at least you can pocket something to live for a while until you can get yourself back on track. Don't eat your equity.
Don't eat all of it. So call as soon as possible.
We've seen that happen so many times.
Yeah, and let's try to save your situation the best that we can. Give you the tools, the tricks and tools to do it. Because realistically, we all realize what happened here. Okay, so the only problem really is that if this was the banking institution that was going down, government would cut a check. But because it's the people that are going down, then
they want us to cut them a check.
Then that's then that it's their fault for getting in. Like, I've heard so many things. Again, from friends even, oh, well, they should have known better, and all this kind of silliness.
Nobody could foresee this coming. Like a world pandemic like this.
Not the world pandemic, but it wasn't the pandemic that is causing people to lose their homes right now. It
was actions of the pandemic, or what took place because of it.
I think it's like the aftershock.
Yes, exactly. And I don't think it's the pandemic. It's how the government handled the pandemic, what their fiscal policies of spending were, which were really, really heavy, and then how the Bank of Canada, with their monetary policies, supporting the government to do whatever they wanted. That's what really caused the problem here. That's the crux of the problem, but the aristocrats will not obviously admit that. But if you go and do the research, you'll see, because no one else would have bought that debt. Not the amount of debt that was coming out. The only person is if it was your own central bank, and then they come up with this cool game QE, and here we are, living this nightmare. So
I just want to touch on something too, because actually looking at the numbers myself here, like there's a lot of crazy stuff. Like even looking at like the active listings this year.
Active listings
is up 124%. From 9,000 this year to 44,000 last year. But the sales last year, sales are down like by a third. Like if we compare the listings versus the sales, there's 9,000 active listings and only around 3,000 sales. So it's interesting.
Yeah, so you know what's really kind of interesting about the active listings is that like we're seeing here, like 1 in 3 we're kind of selling. The listings are building up, right? Because the sales aren't as heavy. So the same properties that have been on the market for a while are still just sitting there, and the new ones are selling.
Because even if you look at the days on market, like you have 41 days on market versus 18 last year, right? So you're getting last year's inventory still there, and it's slowly building
the inventory is just kind of growing. But what's happening is that some people, they're stuck on old pricing,
Yeah.
And they believe they can get
Because
they
the
can-
old pricing is nice.
Yes, it is
Yeah,
nice,
just-
but it's
just
not
like that.
here, and so they're pricing their property on old pricing, and it's just going to sit. And then you got people, and there's a good portion of the population that doesn't believe that making your house look beautiful and all that stuff means anything. The house is a house. And
That ain't true.
it's certainly not true. And those homes are sitting because buyers are saying, hey, no, I don't have to buy a house that looks like that. I can buy a nice house. I get the choice. And so
And if
the
you're spending that kind of money,
yeah.
are you going to go in
Exactly.
and spend that kind of money and then say, okay, I need another 30 grand for rentals? Like,
or more, 30 won't get
you're
you
not
very
going
far
to
today.
choose that. You're going to, because if you think about the cost of material, the cost of labor, in some cases, it's better to just pay that extra for the good home.
Well, it's done, right? You know what it's like to have a man gonna have to do the renovations in the house. You know what that's like.
Oh, don't get me going. Don't
I'm
even
just saying.
start that.
But-
Do not even start that.
Trish,
Because you're going down a rabbit hole that is going to be really tough.
we're gonna let you know. I'm not. I don't consider myself that far off the norm. Many men will promise their women that they're going to do all the renovations. I did a lot. We did a lot. Just it didn't do them all. So because we keep adding more to the list, and I know contractors
Because you
and
have
all
to
that,
have special things,
because I'm a special guy.
which
What do
is
you want?
like just renovate normal, like normal people. No.
So even contractors, I see their homes are the last home
You
to
can't
get
compare a contractor
renovated.
though. 'Cause contractors are always like a masseuse. If you're married to a masseuse, I'm pretty sure you're not getting massages every day because they don't want to come home and do it.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, that's unfortunate because I would want a massage every day if I was married to a masseuse. So, yeah. So detached average price is 1.34. Semi-detached is still over $1 million, just over $20,000 over $1 million. Townhouses average price is 887,000. Condo apartments, the average price is 687, which is really kind of quite high for a condo average price, right? But right
I
across
think though, sorry, you've got some, a few really expensive condos in there that drive up the price, right?
But they're always
And-
be there, wouldn't they?
And yeah, they're always there. So the detached homes. Remember, this year there was going to be a flood of new builds coming onto the market. So we're going to see how that
think
works
so?
out. Well, the article you might have
yeah.
missed it last week. You weren't here last week, right? So I
Yeah.
pulled that up. There's I think there's 30,000 new condos coming
Oh, condos.
onto the
I
market
thought you
this
said
year.
detached. I said detached.
And there was only 23,000 last year, something like that. So it's going to be interesting in a marketplace where sales are down almost
'Cause I
half.
saw, I'm bringing it up next week, but I'm pretty sure I saw an article talking about how some of these people who are building are kind of having second thoughts about whether it's even worth it right now because of how the market is acting. If it makes
Yeah.
sense.
It's not just the market. These guys are having huge problems. They're having problems getting people to work. They're having problems with the cost of stuff, 30% higher than they budgeted when they started the plan. They have problems that the prices are down. There's nothing good in it for them. So yeah, putting the project on hold brings them even more cost because now they've got that all sitting there and they've got to pay those mortgages over time.
And a lot of
But-
angry people that
And then-
bought and now
Push back. And push
Yeah,
back.
and so it's interesting times. Let's just put it that way. So one thing that I wanted to do as quickly as possible because we got to get to the draw.
Oh, yeah. we got 6 minutes.
In Toronto, we are seeing months of inventory overall at 2 months of inventory. Last year was 1.6. So we're still seeing kind of an inventory problem overall in the GTA because you need to get to 3 months of inventory, which means that it takes 3 months in order to sell all the inventory you have, which we're kind of seeing it begin to trend that way with the number of sales that we had in January with the active listings. However, We're going to see more sales in February, more sales in March, so that number is going to creep down unless inventory really comes onto the market. 3 months of inventory is what's needed in order to have a balanced market. 3 to 5 months is like that balanced market range. And we haven't hit that. We're still in the seller's market range. Where we're hitting the balanced market is sales to new listing. Sales to new listing is at 47%, whereas last year it was at 61%. And what that means is last year we were full-fledged seller's market in January, but this year we're in more of a balanced market in February. And so we're seeing our two indicators saying we're balanced seller's market, which means that prices, there's an upward pressure on prices with respect to the market conditions. However, because of the government legislations, and there's more coming down the pipeline that is restricting the money flow. And for those of you who've been listening to the show for a while, you know that the most important thing is the amount of money that they allow to flow in through the economy is what's going to determine how things can perform. Because if you pull all the money out of the economy and you just leave us with savings, the economy will die. Many people will die, I would say more than half. And so right now, it's like the Matrix. The financial institutions, OSFI, the Office of Financial Institutions, they are trying to make sure that the banks don't go under. And they are concerned about the financial health of what's going on. So they're tightening up their policies and even making brand new ones to make sure that they can weather the storm if the storm comes. But what that means is that the banks can't lend the people as much money, which means there's less money floating in the economy. And this in itself can cause total havoc and devastation. So that's what it is. But right now what we're seeing that the marketplace in itself is still saying, no, we don't think any of that's going to happen, and we're going to buy. And obviously with the multiple offer situations that are out there, it's very obvious that there are a number of people that still want to buy. Given the right conditions, they want to buy. So that's something to keep in mind. I'll make a couple special announcements. One is that Ajax is actually got 101% average sales to list price, which means that there's a lot of multiple offers happening there. Oshawa, same sort of thing. It's 100%. Scugog is at 100%, and Whitby is at 99%. And actually, so is
Durham
Pickering.
region
So
is
Durham is
blowing up.
doing pretty solid right now. One of the reasons is their price point. That's the reason. The average price point in Durham is $886,000, which is a lot better than the over $1 million in most places. Now, what we have to do is do the draw. So, Mike, if you can get on my screen, we're here. We've entered everybody in. We're about to spin the wheel.
No problem. You're ready to go.
And let's hope the blank doesn't win. If the blank does
What
win, then we will carry it
blank in
over. Well, it balances the numbers on the screen, right? So here we go. We're looking for the winner. And who wants to make this announcement?
Oh, there you go.
Oh, there it is.
Rick L. Rick L is the winner. Congratulations. We hope you are listening in. And you won $25
To spend on
Amazon. Yepers. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Where are we? 1 minute you got.
Oh, I think the show is over. So thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for being with us again. If you have any emails, anything you want to ask us during the week, send it to onair@yourteam.pro. If you want to catch this show or any of our old past recordings, check us out on YouTube. Like, subscribe. We'd love to have you there at Your Team Pros. And as always, it's me.
Yes.
Randy's
Rant. Tuesdays.
Rodney, Raw.
No. Randy's Rant. We changed it. Randy's Rant Tuesdays, 9:30 to 10:30. Go ahead, close us out.
And as always, it's been your home, your money, and our lives on realityradio101.com. Have a great weekend.
Bye for now.
Stay warm.
If you can.
Thank you for listening to Your Home, Your Money with your hosts, Randy, Jackie, and Anthony, right here on Reality Radio 101.